How's it going, people? Welcome back to Supporters Club. Today we're going to be discussing our best route to the Champions League next season. Is it the Europa League or will it be the top four battle? I'm joined today by Mr. Lee Judges, Claude, and again Mr. Kevin Campbell. Thanks for coming down. Let's start with Lee. We're still firmly in the top four race, but we're also still in the Europa League. Once it comes to crunch time, April, do you prioritise one or do you still go with the belief that we can fight for both fronts?
Very difficult because obviously we've now got midweek games against Wolves and Leicester, which were at the weekend.
Yep.
And so it could actually be that we're playing like midweek games and not in the weekend, which is going to be a little bit strange for us. So I think for me, if it comes down to it, I think with the trophy being at the end of it, Europa League is the one to go for, to prioritise. I don't really like that word because I think we should be going for both, but I think, you know, if the games are piling up, I think that we've got to really look at it like if we've got a Europa League game and then a league game afterwards. It might work in our favour if we haven't got that weekend, we've got that weekend free, but if we've got, I think, you know, strongest teams going into Europa League because I think that the top four is that the three teams we're challenging for are all good sides where, you know, luck of the draw can help us in the Europa League. So
Definitely.
I'm going to say Europa League because
Claude?
also that trophy as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree. I think we should prioritise.
Surprise.
It wouldn't be a show without a disagreement anyway, so.
No, come on. No, I think we should. The league has got to be more important because in the cup, it's just one moment and you're out. You're just out of the competition, gone.
I think the Premier League is a lot like that now as well, because
No,
drop
you've
points.
got time you've got time to pile the points. So you've still got time, haven't you? In the cup, there's one moment and you're out of it. You can't go on a cup competition. Anything, you know, in the league, the consistency.
But it's funny you say that because let's say, look at a few weeks ago, Tottenham could have said they're challenging for a league title. It hasn't gone that way in the past few weeks. So it could change in the flick of a switch, 2-3 games, and this league looked completely different. I mean, remember a time in December, United were 11 points away from us, 4-5 games later, tied with points. So this league is so competitive right now.
That's what I'm saying. It gives you a chance to catch up with in the cup. Once you make that one big mistake or that one moment happens, you're out. You've got no chance.
So for you, you'd prioritise the league moving forward.
We must just make sure that we get in the top four, and if the cup comes along, all well and good. It's a trophy at the end of the season.
As an extra
I know
bonus.
it's the European Losers' Cup, but you know you take it, don't you?
Yeah, it gets you into the Champions League, and that's something we miss right now, Claude.
Exactly.
So, Kev, how do you feel about the top four or the Europa League?
I like Arsenal winning trophies.
Yep.
So do I, Kevin, but I'm just...
No, Claude, listen, you've had your say, let me have mine. Right. Look, of course, I want Arsenal to prioritise winning trophies. That's what I want.
Yeah.
But I want Arsenal to prioritise winning games. I think that's what you're alluding to. You want them to win games.
You've got to concentrate on the consistency of getting the league.
100%. I agree with that, Claude, for sure. But when you win something, it means something as far as I'm concerned. And listen, I don't care whatever route we take, as long as we get back into that, because getting into the Champions League makes a huge difference to our transfer policy in the summer.
Yeah.
It really does. So winning that, going to the Europa League, of course, I'd love to be able to win that, but I'll take anyone.
You know the point you just made regarding the money that comes in with the Champions League? That's what I feel like a lot of our fans need to understand, or a lot of other fans need to understand. We know we're not ready for Champions League football. This squad is not ready. But I believe in Unai Emery. And to give Unai Emery the best possible chance moving forward, we need that money to come in. Do I believe we get into Champions League and do something next year? No. It's still a long process to come. But Emery needs as much money as possible right now to improve the team. But going back to how I look at it is Europa League, the best team in that competition is Napoli. If we get Napoli out, similar to Atletico Madrid last year, I think we'll be out. But what can happen in Europa League is Napoli can get Chelsea. And then one of the other big boys are out of the cup. So it is down to the luck of the draw as well, and hence why I'm predicting that in a few weeks we are going to have a decision to make. Our squad depth is not the best, Lee.
No, it ain't, but I personally don't. You know, Napoli are a good side, but look, you know, Juventus went to Atletico Madrid in the Champions League and got beat 2-0. Look like they're going to go out, and they're running away with that league with a counter. So, for me, I think if Arsenal can, I think Claude's right what he's saying. If we can keep the momentum going and keep playing the performances that we're doing and keep getting the results, then I think that we can take on Napoli and beat them over 2 legs. I really do. I think that we've got. It's all about what we do.
Yeah.
It's not worrying about what other teams do. If we defend properly, we've got the firepower. I think we've got better firepower than Chelsea, for instance. You know what I mean? So why should we fear Chelsea over 2 games? Why should we fear Napoli over 2 games? I think last season, you know, it was a bit of a false thing, because what happened with Madrid is that they didn't have the money to have, because they didn't have the transfer windows, if you remember.
Yeah.
And then they got knocked out of the Champions League, and then, love and behold, they come into the Europa League and then was able to buy players, which they bought Costa, and they become a different animal to what they was in the Champions League. This is a little bit different. I feel that we've got a very, very good chance of, you know, yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a draw. It'll be great if all those teams keep bumping each other out and we have a nice little smooth ride.
Yeah.
But as it's proved, it's you know, there's not going to be no easy games. I don't think Rennes we can take for granted. No. But it's a nice little draw for us because it's in France. We ain't going over to Russia. So no, you know, I think that we've got a very, very good chance. And I don't think there's anybody we should fear in that competition.
And you know what I want to add to it?
I mean, as you said last season, yeah. That one mistake with Koscielny, that was it. That was our tournament gone, isn't it? Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. And in the league, you know, you can make up the next game and the next game.
You do.
That's why it's best just let's get the league, let's get top 4.
100%. But don't you believe that the league could change with two bad results? Top 4 could look a myth with 2 bad results,
yeah,
and
but
then
2 bad ones, and you can get 4 good ones. You know what I'm saying? But when in the Europa League, you make that one mistake like Koscielny did, and that was it, all over.
Do you know what I tend to think back to? Jose Mourinho at United when he first came in. He had a decision to make in February. Kev, if you remember well, like he had a decision to make the Premier League top 4, or should we go for Europa League? And he made it was a big risk to go for the Europa League and put all the eggs in that basket. But in the end, it paid dividends too.
It was a weaker tournament last year, though, wasn't it? Look at the teams that had to play.
Well, the year United
couldn't ask for an easier final either.
Definitely, I'd agree. But if Napoli and forget Chelsea, because I believe we have more firepower than Chelsea. But if Napoli were to get eliminated in the next couple of rounds, then this tournament starts looking like the year that Man United were in it. Because I believe, apart from Napoli, there is no one else to really worry about in this tournament. Sevilla, Inter, Chelsea. I'm not worried about them. So if Napoli drop out of this competition, I believe this competition is pretty poor.
You say that, but Inter on their day, they can...
Abate beat us, so on our day we can always lose.
This is what I'm saying about cup competitions. You can't dismiss these teams. They can just play brilliantly. The
thing is, Claude, you
know what I'm saying?
It's over 2 legs.
Yeah.
And I've been listening and just thinking back. When you mention these teams, they're all good teams, but they will fear Arsenal.
Yeah.
These teams will fear Arsenal. These teams will fear Arsenal's firepower. But I think as an Arsenal fan, we have to defend properly in those games. I think if you're playing Napoli, if you're playing Inter, if you're playing Chelsea, if you defend properly, we stand a great chance because we can score goals against anybody.
Totally agree.
So I think that side of things, Unai Emery has to get right. If we get that right, we'll have a great chance.
And to be honest, he's actually filled me with some hope that he knows what he's doing, in the sense of, I know me and Claude actually agree with the chopping and changing. Sometimes it can make us feel like he doesn't actually know what's his best squad or his best formation, but he adjusts his team for who we're facing. And that's something so refreshing. You know already in the past 10 years, we haven't adjusted to any team we're facing. So the fact he does that, the fact he changes formation maybe 2-3 times in a game, I trust him to do well in both the league and the Europa League. But regarding our squad depth, I believe there's going to come a point where I would prioritise Europa League because of exactly what Kev said. Aubameyang in the Europa League is a scary player, probably top 3 player in the Europa League.
Yeah, but see, you're prioritising it, then you get knocked out in the quarterfinals and you prioritise and then you fall behind in the league and you can't catch up anymore.
And then
that's what I'm trying to say.
Vice versa, we don't prioritise Europa League, we lose the first leg and then we lose the league game, drop from top 4, and then the second leg means so much more now. It's a juggling act.
I just feel that our main aim this year was to get in, and to me, every team, their main aim is in the league. You know, to get as high as possible in the league.
I agree.
And always the cup competitions are a bonus. I think cup competitions are more.
I think by
luck of the
prioritising
draw, luck.
We ain't
There's
going
a
to
lot
take
of luck
our eye
involved.
off of
Whereas
the
the league,
game.
it's consistency, and that's where you know what. So,
I think if we prioritise the Europa League, we're not going to just disregard the league. We've got to still put. We've still got to, you know, like for instance, in the next 2 games, Lacazette's not available, is it? So you can prioritise.
so if you're prioritising, say, the Europa, they're playing Rennes just before we're playing Man United. So you're telling me you'd rather put a strong team, risk injury, right, and lose the Man United game?
Well, no, because I think like
That's what I'm trying to say.
We've got Lacazette to be rested in that game, so Lacazette will definitely play against Man United. You know, we're not saying against
So
Rennes.
but you're saying resting. That means you're not prioritising it, are you?
Not against Rennes, because at the end of the day, Claude, we should be able to get
Well,
past it. I'm talking about deeper into the competition.
We nearly got knocked out in that.
Yeah,
didn't
well,
we?
you know, like if you can't take on Rennes with and beat Rennes over 2 legs with
Changes.
I know
prior, you know, like changes exactly, like what we've done with
It's a cup
you know,
competition.
we've done that in the past with Bournemouth and Southampton.
Southampton, yeah.
Why can't we do that with Rennes and Man United?
We should have been able
totally
to beat
like
Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup, but we didn't, did we?
different times, Claude. You know.
Yeah, well,
listen,
you
the one great thing about Emery that I really like about Emery is what Turkish has just alluded to, is that he is prepared to look at the team and change for his team, and not look at it like a weakness. Arsene Wenger looked at it as, I'm not changing my team because it's a weakness. It shows weakness. This manager's prepared to, like other managers, to say, do you know what? I'm going to go in with this side and go in with that side. You know, Alex Ferguson never went in. He went 4-4-2 against every team apart from Arsenal when he put in an extra midfield player. So it wasn't looking at it as a weakness. He was looking at the opposition and seeing how it goes. And if we can't beat Rennes before we beat Man United, then we don't deserve to go deeper into that competition, Turkish. That's my opinion.
It's a fair opinion as well. And to be honest, no one's going to be right in this debate because it's a juggling act, and who knows what's to come.
I am right because I'm the voice of reason.
We'll see at the end of the season. We'll do a supporters come round up at the end.
I'll tell you one thing that people haven't said. It's actually about the players. It's actually about the players wanting to play in all, because now it's all big games. All the players want to play in all the big games. Who wants to be rested?
Yeah.
You want to play in the Rennes game. You want to play against Manchester United. You want to actually do something. You want to make Arsenal proud. You want to be proud to be in that shirt and wear that badge. So now is the time where you make a name for yourself. Because if we do get it in the league and you do win the Europa League, you've done something for the club. That's what it's about. So it's about the players now.
And look at
the worrying thing I find, what I'm worried about looking at it, and I don't think it does us any favours, is the 3-week break.
Yeah,
We're going to have a 3-week break because we're not in the FA Cup, and then there's the international.
Yeah, it's coming up now.
And that's the worrying thing, because when you haven't played for 3 weeks, that might take its toll.
My worry is, and my whole point of this question is, when you look at our last couple of months in the Prem, we've got a majority of away games.
Yeah, we've got 6 away. The last 10, we've got 6 away.
So it's the vast majority of the games are away, and you know our away.
Well, that's it then. Let's concentrate on the Europa League then.
It adds another aspect into it. You know what I mean?
You're so negative, aren't you? You're so, no, they call me negative.
just looking at it, you know, our away form wasn't the greatest, but you know, listen, we can turn that around at any time. So. You know,
but they're not difficult away games, are they? They're was it? Mind you, Leicester, Wolves would be.
They're all difficult.
Yeah, they're all difficult.
They're all difficult because because the Premier League, for what it is, positions. Every position means something now.
And you know what? You know how it gets at crunch time of the season. Clubs like Huddersfield start putting in performances. Cardiff, the Brightons, the Burnleys, they all pick up wins.
You know, I honestly thought a couple of weeks ago,
game.
like Leicester would be a nice 3 points. All of a sudden, Brendan Rodgers has gone in there. That now looks like a different game completely.
Yeah.
So, you know, as you say, so...
Who knows?
Who knows?
So,
exactly.
so the big question is, Kev, are Arsenal going to qualify for Champions League football next season?
I would have to go positive again. I would say yes, they will. I think Arsenal will win the Europa League. I think because Unai Emery has that ability to win that competition. He's proven it in the past. And it's about time we won something again. So, yeah, I think Arsenal will.
Just on the side of that, you say we're going to win the Europa League. Where do you see us finishing in the league beside that trophy?
Honestly, I think we're going to finish just outside the top 4.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay. Claude?
I can't really call it, but I think probably after the Man United game, I think you'll have a clearer picture of where we are.
understanding.
Yeah. After that, then I think if we get the sufficient points, then I think we can go on, because I think all the last 8 are very winnable. So
Yeah. I agree. Lee, what do you think? Are we going to make Champions League football?
I think I'm on the lines with Kevin, like, you know, that we'll make it via the Europa League. I think it is our best opportunity to win it. I really do, and to get into the Champions League with a trophy, you know, I think that's got to be the big thing for me. The trophy at the end of it is great. I also think that Emery didn't really go for the FA Cup because he's felt that the Europa League is the one, because it has that big carrot at the end of it, which is Champions League football. So I feel that if we are to get into the Champions League, it'll be the Europa League, and I pray that we do it.
Yeah, to be honest, I agree with Kevin Lee. I think the Europa League is our best avenue. I think we will get into Champions League through Europa League, but I also agree a bit with Claude. After the Man United game, we'll understand more about the top 4, because our top 6 rivals are done then. So.
Ask these boys here, what would you think? Would you agree with the FA Cup winners in future going into the Champions League?
No.
Would you agree with that?
No.
Not happening. No.
Do you?
But would you like that to happen? No.
No, I wouldn't. No. 6 games, you know what I mean. Luck of the draw. You can play teams. We had a couple
the
years
FA
ago.
Cup winners could be Bristol.
Yeah, it's luck of the draw.
Well, no,
Can't it? It could be Bristol. It could be.
What I'm trying to say
when
is,
Wigan won it,
Yeah.
you know, it's not going to happen.
It's it's because to me it's gone down. And I just heard Lee say. I mean, you just said about the Europa League putting
Europa
before
League-
the FA Cup.
Europa League
I mean,
brings
the
you
FA
60
Cup used
million.
to mean something, didn't it?
Europa League, I understand what you're saying. Growing up, I think all of us, the FA Cup
Yeah.
meant so much more to this generation now. But the FA have to look at that separately, because your winnings, for winning the FA Cup, you win more finishing in the top 6. You win more finishing 6th, 7th, 8th than you do if you
Still
win
a
the FA
special
Cup.
competition.
It's still a special
Still a
competition,
special
because football
competition.
is so money orientated
Yeah,
now.
it's changed
The
it.
Wolves are not caring about FA Cup, they're caring about highest league finish, or Brighton are highest league finish. That's what they're chasing. So the value of that competition has been brought down. Europa League, the value's been brought up because the Champions League entry is now in. There's 60 million carrot is at the end of that Europa League, and the FA have to do something similar with FA Cup if they want
You're
it to be
saying
taken
about
more
Bristol,
serious.
right? But then I can say to you, Kevin, right? You're dropping out of a Champions League competition. You're going into as a loser, yeah. You're going into the Europa League, and then qualifying for the Champions League that way. That's no different for me, because they've actually been they've been knocked out.
Yeah, but it's the
Do you know what I'm
top
saying?
tier.
And they've got another chance, and that's not, to me, that's even worse.
But Claude, it's the top tier. When you're at the top tier, what they want to do is be able to give these clubs a chance to make revenue again. Because some of these clubs, look at Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid are a big team.
Yeah.
To drop out of the Champions League and then to get back into Europe and be able to generate revenue is important to, and then they qualify again through the Europa League. That for Atletico Madrid. If that happened to Arsenal, would we complain? No, we wouldn't. Because listen, it's just the way the system works.
Yeah.
So I don't think a
It
cup
don't make
competition.
it right, does it? That you can
For me, the FA Cup, for me,
Drop out of a
if the
competition.
Europa League didn't have that Champions League spot,
Who cares?
who cares? The FA Cup would mean more to me than the Europa League any day of the week. I'd blow it out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, you know, I would say, right, you know, we'll try and get into the top 4 through the league and try and win the FA Cup like we've done. But the Europa League and that Champions League spot now, it's put a different complexion on it. And if that has taken the gloss off the FA Cup, well, that's what's happened. And you know, it does, you know, the Premier League's all about money, Turkish, you know what I mean? Everything's about money these days.
I just don't agree with the third
No, do you know-
team that gets.
Do you know what it is, Claude? You make a good point.
I think it absolutely degrades the whole competition.
No, you make a good point.
Because-
But what is, you know what? That's a whole show in itself. I think you've given me a good idea, because the FA Cup is a show we'll have to talk about, because it meant so much to us and it doesn't to this new generation. So we'll debate that in a whole separate episode, half an hour to itself. You know what I mean? But Kev, thanks for coming down again. Appreciate it as always. You know what I mean? Claude, Lee, nice to see you guys
No
again.
problems at all.
This has been the Supporters Club. Let us know, top 4 or the Europa League, which one do we prioritise? Or are you going to say both? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe to my channel, Turkish LDN TV.